Good morning, this is Alamon, and this is part cell phone recording test and part kind of channel announcement thing. The game is Osmos, which is a pretty old game by this point. Started out as a PC game, I believe, and then had a mobile port. And I particularly like this mode, this impasse mode. You have to... oh darn, that wasn't great. Yeah, so you are this little cosmic dust mote kind of thing, and you have to absorb other motes, but you can only absorb the ones that are smaller than you are. And the normal game modes are just kind of floating around with all sorts of things flying in all kinds of directions. I like this one, though, where everything starts packed together, and you have to break your way out and slowly grow larger. Sometimes it generates unwinnable ones, or at least I can't always beat them, but it's great fun. Anyway, on the channel right now, we've had up to episode 114 of the Polar Bear Apocalypse. That's as much as I've actually recorded, and I don't think I've done any recording in that series since the new year, actually, or even since before Christmas. I'm a little burned out on EU4. I don't really like the new estate system. I know it's going to be overhauled a lot, but I just don't really have any interest in the estate system. I want to finish that series, though. I'm so far into it, and it'll happen eventually, but I think it might be on the back burner for now. I'm excited for Hearts of Iron 4. I've watched series of Hearts of Iron 3. I really liked Kill 18's series recently, playing as the United States. But I don't own... So I have the base game of Hearts of Iron 3, but I don't have any of the expansions, and they are still quite expensive. And so I decided I'm just going to wait until Hearts of Iron 4 before trying to get into that game. I have Crusader Kings 2, but I've never been able to get into that, really. Let's get between these. Alright. And Crusader Kings 2 is also fundamentally a very different kind of game. I do like Victoria 2, but I'm not very good at it. And things are all shaken up right now because Paradox released that surprise patch. And it has a lot of quality of life improvements, but then it's not necessarily fully compatible with the existing mods. And the mod landscape had kind of stabilized. There weren't a lot of changes going on because the game itself hadn't been updated in so long. So I'm kind of waiting for that to shake out more, but I would like to get into Victoria 2 more on the channel. Stellaris, of course, will also be coming out. I don't know too much about that game. I've been looking at the dev diaries, but I'm not sure really how that game's going to play. What the overall kind of feel of the game will be, what most of your time will be spent doing. It's not quite clear to me yet. But I think that, of course, can also be promising. We have Star Wars Rebellion that just started yesterday, and what went out today? Kingdom, yes. I did some more of Kingdom. Star Wars Rebellion is a great game, but the interface is really, really terrible. It's clearly a game from the last millennium. They had huge ambitions, and it's actually stunning how successful they pulled off, or how successfully they pulled off a lot of the things that they tried to do in that game. But it's just not all where it should be. Really, they just designed the interface completely wrong. It's all based around giving you information on events as they happen, when really the more useful thing is like Paradox's outliner, just give you the status of everything as it is right now. You don't have to know every single time that a unit is built or things like that. You just need to know, what's your overall production capacity like, what resources are free, what resources are idle, because that tells you where you need to direct your attention. But just, it was an early effort. It was 1998 that they released the game. It was a studio that only released that game, I think. Whoop, danger, danger. That guy's growing. So they did a good job for the time. And I have so many fond memories of that game, but it is kind of hard to play it. Just due to all the quality of life issues. Kingdom I really have enjoyed. It's a very minimalistic game. I actually don't really like the fact that they upgraded, or they updated the game so that the portals are now things that you can actually like control and use. I don't quite like that gimmick. I actually preferred it when you had to run everywhere, because time is one of your most precious resources in that game, and I feel like giving you these magical portals that you warp around kind of messes with the game balance in that sense. Because before it used to be a considerable undertaking to run from the whole left western edge of your kingdom to the right edge, and now it's just a piece of cake, pretty much. And I don't really like that. I also have The Swindle will be coming out later this month. Well, I might change my video calendar a bit. Not quite sure, but yes, I've recorded a series on The Swindle, which is a stealth platformer. It uses procedurally generated levels. When it was first released, it had a lot of control issues, and it's still not 100% resolved, but it's a lot better than it was at release. So if you take a look at the game and you see it has kind of middling reviews, don't be scared off by that. A lot of that was just kind of version 1.0 growing pains. But that'll be coming out on the channel pretty soon. And what else is there to talk about? Yeah, I mentioned how I would kind of like to do Victoria 2, but I'm kind of waiting for the mod landscape to resettle, and hopefully I'll be able to have a decent run of that. Oh boy, looking at this, I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to beat this level. Yeah, actually, if that moat to my right grows large enough to start consuming the moat below it. Yes, it did. Let's sneak down here. Alright, I just got eaten a little bit. Although actually, this isn't quite... No, it's not winnable at this point, but I can still see how large I can manage to grow myself. I'm trying to push this moat up so that I'm going to be able to get back out after I've grown here. The dream would have been that I could have grown large enough to then consume the moat to my left, and at that point, I think I could have won. But there's just not enough material for me to grab. Let's actually exit to menu. Let's do level 8. We were doing level 9, which is the most extreme. Level 8 has different rules. The green guys are antimatter, and whenever they collide with one of the blue or red guys, the two mutually destroy each other. So you can actually use the green ones to sabotage the red ones so that you're able to consume them. I'm going to try to send that green one to the left, to that bigger moat there. This moat to my right, there's not a whole lot that I can do about him, except for to push him into the other big red moat and eat him there. Unfortunately, the screen recording software I'm using does not record in-game audio, so I need to have it play over the speakers, and then hopefully the microphone is picking that up well enough. Google Play Games has a screen recorder that seems quite slick. The problem is it doesn't really work. It doesn't record any audio at all on my particular phone, so that's not really usable. I've tried playing it back in different video players to see if it's a codec issue, but no, the source just doesn't seem to have any audio information at all. So what are you folks playing? I mean, I've been playing some City Skylines that I'm not recording because the way I play that game, I think, would probably be really boring to most people. I tend to sit around in the asset editor for, an hour or two at a time, throwing around all kinds of ideas, slowly trying to develop tileable assets to plop down. And then I load up a map that I have that is already set up with power and water and unlimited money and all that. Plop down a bunch of tiles and just kind of see how things go. Oh man, I had that vector badly calculated. But it's a very slow process doing all that, developing assets, and there's a fundamental problem in the game in the way that your Sims move into their new dwellings. So whenever you're trying to grow a city to test out the assets, you have to deal with all of your highways being jammed full of traffic. Just does not work particularly well. And, you know, I have mods to try to make the game speed even higher than usual, but it's throttled by your CPU. And, you know, even getting rid of some of the mods that are especially punishing for CPU, like Bracket++, is just not quite good enough to iron out that issue of, you know, waiting for all the Sims to move into the city and not having to have those enormous traffic jams as everyone moves in at once. Although the card despawning mechanic is nice, I'm glad that they included that. I've been thinking, though, about just doing a straight-up normal game of City Skylines and recording that. Kind of like I did with the Bike Town. I don't usually play the game the way it's meant to be played. I really don't like... I mean, I understand why they do it, but I really don't like how they restrict you from building things like highways and stuff until your town reaches a certain size. I understand that it's largely for tutorial-type purposes. Like, they don't want you spending money on things that are really expensive and have high upkeep costs that aren't going to immediately contribute to your city's growth. And they want to phase in things over time so that the player isn't overwhelmed. And, you know, those are all good principles to follow, but for experienced players, it's a little annoying. I know that there's the Unlock All mod, but then that also screws up the game balance a bit because, you know, the game mechanics change as your city grows larger. So, you know, I believe, for example, before you unlock the garbage dump, your city does not generate garbage. And so that means that from the very beginning, you have to spend a long time, instead of going through the small hamlet kind of phase, you have to have all services set up from the very beginning. And that's weird too. I don't really like that either. So of those two evils, I'd rather go with the one where you have to unlock buildings as you progress. I think I pretty much said all that I wanted to say here, but let's finish this round. So what I have to do here is there's a big red moat in the top right. I need to sabotage that moat by pushing some green guys into it. There, that's a lot of momentum. Although now I have momentum that I don't really want, but, well, it'll be okay. Here, let's eat that last little snack there. I don't know if this is going to be enough. I think it will be. It should be enough for me to finish off this scenario. There they go. They're destroying each other. I hope it's enough. I still have a few more green guys that I can shoot over to him, though, if need be. Yeah. Doesn't look like it's going to be enough. There's also that other blue mote that I can swallow. Let's see if I can... No, he's going to swallow that blue mote. Darn it, I have to speed him in order to escape now. Unfortunately. Push the green mote here. Let's speed up time. Actually, this will work. They're going to collide if I just give them enough time to do so. I'm going to try to stop myself in this corner. It's great that you can bank things off walls like that. Actually, I didn't stop myself enough. No, you have to not come toward me. There we go. Yeah, this will do it for sure. 3, 2, 1. There we go. Now let's just vacuum up the level. Okay, good enough. All right, good night, sleep tight, and don't let the red motes bite. Bye bye.